welcome to the M2 podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. My co-host right here is Mr. JK Heath, Kyle Heath. And this is the show where we basically cover this week's gaming news reviews. We're talking esports and personalities, overall gaming industry news, new and upcoming games, and technology innovation. So without further ado, what we like to do is start off with a quick update of what each other have been up to. And Kyle, what have you had going on? Have you played more Harry Potter? I know you were doing that. Have you touched Smite? That was a growing theme for the last like 5 episodes.
Mm, it's a
But
good
it
question.
had to have switched. It had to have switched.
Good
So what's
question.
going on?
So, Harry Potter, yes. I think I told you earlier, I'm currently 20 hours in,
Very
like
nice.
level 23. But I've been chilling, still enjoying the game. Which, is the best part, that even, in the mid to late game, it's still entertaining. So that stuff's pretty good. Smite, I don't think I've played this week. However, I might be playing later tonight. Don't gotta go
Okay.
into work tomorrow morning. I ain't gotta leave to the afternoon, so we'll be probably getting some sort of gaming in after packing and everything. But yeah, so that's been the main game I think this week. Yeah, again, still really enjoying it. Love the world, love the characters, love everything about it. So that's really good. In terms of like much else, I saw the latest episode of Last of Us. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
Really
it
enjoyed
was.
it.
I would agree with
Um,
that.
Next week is actually the Left Behind kind of DLC. I think it's Left Behind.
Hmm.
So that should be exciting, kind of seeing that DLC come to life on TV. Um, but yes, I'm very much enjoying that. I know we have an event we're going to this week. I'll be hanging out with you and the boys. Should be exciting.
Yep.
Got a lot to look forward to there. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it pretty much covers it. Only get to play really Hogwarts this week, but chilling.
That's still
But
pretty cool though. So yeah, pretty much I've been watching The Last of Us for the most part. Been trying to download more and more emulators and all this other stuff for the Xbox for soft modding. Like I finally got. I don't remember. I think I did talk about it last episode where I wanted to upgrade a 2 terabyte hard drive into my old Xbox hard drive
yeah,
and turn it into like an emulation machine and also having like 1,000 plus different games on it. Um, I finally got it to work. It's like if you can see it in the background, that's what you're seeing. It's like that's just the screen saver. It's playing asteroids by itself. But the like what I'm gonna do is format, get all my favorite games over there. It's gonna take a lot of time to get like hundreds of games on there. I think there's like 800 plus, maybe 1,000 games in the Xbox library, then plus the emulator. So that takes a lot of time. So I'll direct connect it to my PC, to my hard drive, and just transfer everything over. I'll start with just doing like a couple of games that I miss playing, like Star Wars Battlefront 2 is on the list, Tony Hawk's Underground, and Tony Hawk's Underground 2, which Tony Hawk's Underground 2 might be one of my favorite games ever. And I'm so excited to get back on that because I played it on GameCube for the longest time, and just like
yeah,
to play it on Xbox now, I'm like, dude, let's go. Like I'm really
yeah.
excited. Yeah, so that's basically what I was looking at. I fell down a YouTube rabbit hole about Raspberry Pi
Okay,
and
okay.
how that works with like doing something called a Pi hole. You might be familiar with it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so for those uninitiated, this is something that I just learned, but you basically can use a small computer called Raspberry Pi and you can sync it up with your router, make a DNS server, and make it so you can block all advertising on your home network. So like everything that comes through your PC, your tablets, even your Fire Sticks, your smart TVs, your Xboxes. So like I was looking at that and I'm like, okay, how it looks like $50 and like a couple of hours of my time and I can have that. So I'm tempted. I've just
Yeah,
been like I do this every once in a while where I'll just fall into a trap of like learning something completely new, you know?
gotcha. Yeah.
That's basically what I've been up to.
See, that's the thing. Um, I don't know. Like, I've heard of Raspberry Pis and stuff, and I figured you were
Hmm.
probably gonna go down the route of like emulator because like there's like retro Pis and stuff like that
Oh
where it's
yeah,
just like
there
giant
is.
like emulator libraries. But yeah, I didn't realize you could do something like that. Though that seems interesting.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff. You can build like your own router and stuff like that. You can build your own like productive um like home network, link up everything you could possibly want. Like anything that has I guess internet, Bluetooth, you can sync it all up with the router with the Raspberry Pi and do whatever you want with it. Like,
Dang.
basically remote desktop into any of your devices anywhere in the world. Like, it's
Dang, dude.
pretty nuts,
I need
and,
to I need to look into Raspberry Pis more apparently. Jeez. The whole
yeah, I
world.
fell down I'll link you a video.
And for
I
sure.
was literally watching it yesterday, while I was trying to figure out how the heck to get a 2 terabyte hard drive in my Xbox, and I found out it was literally a cable that was the issue. So I felt like an idiot. It's like a $10 cable that I just didn't have. I was using the default one,
Yeah.
and then once I found out, somebody pointed it out to me, that soft mods Xboxes all the time, and I was like, "Dude, I feel so stupid." But
Oh,
I've been
nice.
working on it for like a week, but
Yeah. Seems like you've been
finally
working
getting
on it
there.
for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
basically
but
where I'm at. But I know people didn't come here for those stories. I think they came here for the news.
sure did, dude. They sure did. And boy, do we have an
We got a lot.
interesting starter here, Mike.
We got a lot, man. We got a lot of
Um,
good ones.
we do. I'm gonna start off here. Uh, Bungie wins over $4 million in a lawsuit against Destiny 2 cheat developer. I know when I first read this article, and I'm just gonna say, when I first read it, I thought they won a lawsuit against a like one individual cheater. And I was like, oh my, like what did he do? That was my first like impression. But then as I read more, I was like, oh okay, this makes a little more sense. So for those that don't know, Bungie's 2-year legal battle against a Destiny 2 cheatmaker finally concluded last week. The judge agreed that the cheatmaker AimJunkies had violated Bungie's copyright and ordered it to pay over $3.6 million in damages and $700,000 in legal expenses. AimJunkies is a website owned by Phoenix Digital Group, which creates aimbots for Destiny 2 and other FPS games. The first lawsuit started in 2021, and the courts initially favored AimJunkies, with a judge dismissing some of the Bungie's claims. After finding that making cheats wasn't an inherent infringement of copyright, Bungie refiled a lawsuit in May, and the cheat maker took a more aggressive strategy to defend itself from Bungie's other lawsuits. AimJunkies even tried to claim that the developer had violated its copyright by reverse engineering the code for its cheat software. According to documents found on Torrent Freak, the courts found that AimJunkies violated Bungie's copyright on Destiny 2. One of the cheats engineers reverse engineered the game code in order to create and sell the aimbots, often circumventing bans to do so. This is a direct violation of software licensing agreement that he had to accept in order to download the game. It's like that whole list, that whole agreement at the
Oh,
start. He got
they
caught
got
by it. He
wrecked.
didn't read it, dude. He got caught. He got
They got
got.
toasted.
Oh man. The judge thought that Phoenix Digital Group had not been particularly cooperative with the developer's legal requests. After Bungie sent the company a cease and desist order, AimJunkie's owner falsely claimed that he had already sold the website. The court also found that Phoenix Digital Group had deleted records of cheat software and destroyed financial records related to the sales of the cheats. They're trying to cover up, dude. This
Trying
is
hard,
oh
man.
man, they tried to cover up real hard. But yeah, so I mean, since the company's willingness to conceal its cheat sales contributed to a heavier punishment than it otherwise might have received, the judge awarded Bungie $2,500 for each of the 1,361 violations. Damages came to a total of $3,657,500, and the court also awarded Bungie $738,722 in legal fees. Wow, that's crazy. That's dude, that is a lot of violations. But I think it's funny that, this cheat developer was like trying real hard to try and avoid this and try to take an aggressive approach, and it just completely backfired. Do you think and I know your person I feel like I know your views on cheating in games and stuff like that. But please, Mike, what is your opinion on do you think they were too harsh with this cheat maker, or do you think this is
No,
justified?
man. Get effed. Get effed. That's all I really got to say, man. It's like the theme of this episode, because this ain't the first topic we're going through where there's cheats. Um, I feel like just people getting busted for cheating has been a theme for the past, like, I would say the past month of just not like what Bungie's doing and a couple other developers, publishers are doing, but just in the competitive space, the esports space, I've seen more and more pro players, in quotes, pro players being exposed as cheating. anybody that's ever played or like they're in the Call of Duty space, they'll know at least a handful of streamers that are openly cheating, but they're not banned yet,
Jeez.
you know? And it's just like some of the topics that we're talking about this episode, not just like what's going on with Destiny, where they're just basically downloading soft mod hacks. There are like hardware hacks of using devices that give you an advantage as well. Um, and those people are also getting caught. So it's like, I'm excited that this is happening. I think the amount that they got fined, like in the millions, I mean, that's wild. That's one of those ones to like basically deter anybody else from doing this. You know,
Yeah.
it's like if you're trying to create a business of cheating people and ruining the game experience, it's like, yeah, that should be illegal and it should be against the terms of service. And the fact that it's being like justifiably enforced is, I think, really good. But who the heck is cheating in Destiny 2? I thought this is more of like a raid boss kind of game. Like I played it a bunch. It's like they
Yeah.
do have competitive sides of it, but they don't have a league, do they?
Not no, not that I know of. I mean,
Yeah.
they have Crucible, which is the PvP. And then
Right.
mostly at least the version I played, I didn't really touch PvP much. There's some people that's like all they played. I feel like, but
Oh yeah, for
I was just
sure.
mainly PvE. But I mean, I think that game is just fun in general. Like, but I mean, to your point, I think I think I'm on your side with this one. I think it's like cheating in games ultimately hurts the integrity of the game. It makes less people want
Yeah,
to play, and then in turn, it just
absolutely.
hurts the environment as a whole.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, if there are legally binding ways to try and stop people from doing it, I mean, at this point, this is the only way it would get stopped. I feel like because like it's just more and more rampant, and I mean, yeah, especially in competitive areas, it's you find out all the
Yeah.
time. Like, especially recently, we've been finding out who's been not playing fair. So I mean, but yeah, it's in terms of like straight like aimbot cheats and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I think this is justified. Um, and I mean, like all cheating's bad cheating, but like there's also like kind of more softer forms of cheating, whether it's like like hardware manipulation or like workarounds stuff like that. It's like networking workarounds. It can be a lot of different things, but yeah, dude, if you're gonna run around with an aimbot, ruin the experience, make people not want to play. I mean, banning just doesn't work. It's been proven so many times that like especially in like free to play games, banning just does nothing really unless it's
Yeah.
like unless it's like hardware ban of some sort. But I feel like there's not many there's no real efficient way to implement something like that. So to bring on legal
Yeah,
action, dude, stop these cheating sites. You know what I'm saying?
I think there's a couple of ways to do it. Um, when it comes to getting rid of cheaters and just mods in general. Like there are ways to have game components where mods are encouraged, like to make people creative. MCC, Master Chief Collection, has that ability where you can sign up into the lobbies with the anti-cheat turned off, but you don't get into competitive. You don't get into any of that like cheating to get an advantage. You get into it specifically to like manipulate or add content to the game. That kind of cheating and that kind of mods are actually like pretty cool, and they're like they can be a lot of fun. Like you probably have seen some of the Halo Infinite Twitter videos going out where they're hacking in and they're finding AI and they're putting grunts and elites on custom multiplayer maps
No.
that you can actually play. It's like that's a mod, that's a cheat, that's cool, but it's like when you're using it to get an advantage to ruin somebody else's experience, it's like, dude, the only way to combat it is to go after the people that are making the cheats, not the people that are using it. You
Yeah.
can only ban so many people because nowadays all games are free, so they're just signing up for a new account the next day after you ban them,
Yeah.
and they're good.
Yeah.
But if you go after the people selling it, especially if it's a business, and you just sue them to oblivion,
Yeah.
GG's, man. It's
Yeah.
over.
True. It kind of reminds me of like termites. Like one of the most effective ways to eliminate termites in an area is to like, get the bait or whatever and then bring it back to the actual like hive, like the source, and then it just kills
Yeah.
off from there. It's kind of like
Pretty
it's probably the
yeah.
best way to do something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. In the past, and there's a couple of videos on YouTube that I recommend anybody look into. It's you would have to search something along the lines of like the best punishments for cheaters in games. So what happened was is back in the day, um, developers were smart enough and they spent enough time on their games. Well, I'm sure they're still smart enough. It's just ways to get around it. is if they found out, like, they would set traps within the code. So if you hacked in and you started cheating, it would basically lock you out of the game forever. Or it
It's
would give you
nice.
glitches that would only happen to somebody that's hacked, and it would basically ridicule you. I
Yeah,
saw a couple of ones where this is actually pretty cool. There was a hacker on CS:GO, still exists. He has a YouTube channel where he doesn't sell, he gives away free hacks. So, like, instead of auto aim, he'll sell it like, okay, yeah, this is auto aim, like normal auto aim, blah, blah, blah. But when you load it up, he had it set so he would auto aim and automatically kill all of his teammates. And he would send a recording. You know how you could do like the game DVR?
yeah.
He would send a recording to a file that he could view, and he would make the video based on their point of view. So, like, the game would load up and it'd be the first round, and they grab stuff and just automatically shoot evereverybody in the head and kill their teams, and then you get booted.
Oh
It's like
my,
those cheats are hilarious.
yeah, yeah. That's funny. I mean, like, especially in a competitive setting, though. Most people, you run into a cheater, it's just like you kind of just give up almost. It's just like,
Oh,
or you
yeah.
either give up or you try everything in your power to beat the cheater. Because sometimes you can't
Yeah.
actually, especially if they have like, bad movement or like some sort of like they don't have the fundamentals down and you can
Yeah.
tell. So you can if you're a knowledgeable enough player, you can kind of work around that and find ways to combat that. Which that's fun. Like if you run into a cheater, you still win kind of thing. Um
You know, that
so yeah.
there's another one that I've seen several times is if the cheater is on your team. I've seen an entire team, like, just random matchmaking where they all get up together, just random searching. Cheater queues by themselves to try to win the game with, like, obvious hacks. Everybody in the lobby knows it. So the team with the cheater on their team will start betraying the cheater
Yeah.
because the auto aim and the aim assist and all that other kind of crap, and like it doesn't work on your teammates.
Yeah.
So the person is like, they have to use their real skill to kill their teammates. So
That's funny.
yeah,
I don't know.
those are pretty cool to see. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of different cheats out there, but this is one step closer, I think, to trying to eliminate some of these nasty cheats. So love to see that.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
this next article might.
But yeah, I'm about to get into it.
Oh baby.
Oh, we're on the PlayStation one? Okay.
Oh,
I was looking at a different one,
oh,
but it's fine.
sorry.
No, it's okay. We're good. Let's go on. So, PlayStation. This article comes from the Video Game Chronicles, and it is from Tom Ivan. Two first names. Interesting. So, PlayStation has a 70% share of the global console market versus Xbox's 30%, Microsoft claims. From Microsoft. That's kind of nuts. So, let's get into it. So, company president Brad Smith made the claim during a press conference on Tuesday after Microsoft presented arguments for why a proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard should be approved at a European Commission hearing. And I will quote him. He said, "Think about the market in Europe. It is a market where Sony has an 80% share. Globally, it's about 70-30. In Japan, it's 96 and 4. These numbers have been remarkably steady for 2 decades. Even last year, when there were issues with Sony's supply chain, they came back strong." And then Brad Smith goes on to say, "Who said PlayStation's outsold Xbox by 69-31 towards the end of 2022? Seemingly didn't provide figures for Microsoft's biggest market in the United States." So he just completely ignored and didn't say anything about United States. It's kind of interesting. So, coinciding with the hearing, Microsoft announced that it had been signed a binding 10-year legal agreement with Call of Duty, with Call of Duty going to Nintendo, probably to get around that
Yeah.
whole Activision Blizzard purchase.
True.
So,
Yeah.
what's your overall take on basically the company president of Microsoft saying we have no market share whatsoever and this is all legal?
Yeah, I don't
Basically,
know.
what he's
The
doing.
so the whole deal regarding like, Nintendo and all that, we will discuss later on in the episode. We have a couple articles
Right.
to go over that. So I won't get into that right in this moment. But the main reason I was like looking at this was because these numbers, I was like reading these and I was like, it just seems like really high, right? Like, it just seems like, I mean, and it's like it's coming from Xbox. So I like as much as I love Xbox, I'm hesitant to like necessarily believe these as like truth, like word of God. like I
Yeah,
don't know if these. I mean, so Japan is like one of the. I think it's one of the main regions where it's like okay, that would make sense. Like Sony, predominantly Sony, right? Predominantly
yeah.
PlayStation is Japanese company kind of thing. I get that. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're talking. What was it like? He said 70-30 globally, and like it's 80% in Europe. But yeah, I mean, they didn't mention United States, and and again, the fact that they don't mention United States and they don't try to like involve more of those numbers, it's part of the. It's also part of the reason why I'm kind of just like, okay, like I maybe these are like correct or maybe these are accurate, but especially coming from Xbox, I hesitate to fully believe it considering their the position they're in with the agreement with the EU to try and get this get this working. So I don't know. It's awfully it's a little interesting, I think, Mike, overall. But yeah, I'd be curious to see the source of these numbers and if it's ever gonna come out as to like who's reporting this kind of stuff. So we'll see, I guess.
The other thing too is like if they're ignoring the fact that there are other consoles that exist. It's like Nintendo still exists.
Yeah.
And I would argue that yeah, sure, if you compare the two between Sony and Xbox, right? It's like okay, yeah, in Japan probably 96-4, but if you also say like okay, well, Xbox, Nintendo, and Sony, then I think it's going to be more like the percentage is definitely going to change. And the other aspect too is these percentages are just percentages. You don't know the actual amount.
Right. Yeah.
And leaving at your entire market share in like your main market share in the United States is kind of interesting. Not just the United States, but like North America.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, I mean those are good points too, which I think I mean after hearing that stuff and it sways my opinion a little bit more. I think to like, do I really trust these? Like, what's really behind this data, kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean Xbox is really trying to trying to win over the EU. So
Oh, they're trying so hard. I think do you think they will? I mean, we've been talking about it for the better part of a year now. I'm starting to lose hope that they're actually going to get through.
I am too, man. I'm gonna be honest. Like it's like every week it just seems more and more up in the air. I think for me as to whether or not Xbox is actually going to succeed in this acquisition because I mean, yeah, it was one thing when they were claiming, um, it was one thing they were claiming like PlayStation has, that like PlayStation won't get affected by it, which I think at the time I still, believe it probably would get dramatically affected by it. But then you have all these investigations going on, and it's like, okay, like what do they know that we don't, kind of thing, or what are they suspecting that we may not? So yeah, I mean, there's no telling, man. But these next few months are going to be critical if they want to try and keep this deal and not have to re-sign and rewrite something else, Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think well, one more thing that we should probably mention from this article is towards the bottom, last second to last paragraph. So the regulator being the European Commission. Yeah, the European Commission, they said it outlined several potential structural remedies that might help clear a path to its approval of the deal, including a partial divestiture of Activision Blizzard. Basically, that could see it selling off a part of the company that deals with Call of Duty or even the entire Activision business unit. So not just Blizzard. And that would be kind of interesting to see a situation where Activision Blizzard had a merge initially and they're talking about okay, well Microsoft wants to purchase Activision Blizzard, but we have to split Activision Blizzard into something else.
yeah.
Then what happens to the price tag? Because it's clearly not going to be worth $70 billion
I
at
don't
that
think so
point.
either. At that point, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like if you do that at that point, you're gonna have to rewrite. Like,
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
there's no
Yeah.
like we can use the same deal kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, and after hearing that, it's kind of like, I mean, yeah, like there's it says structural remedies, but I mean, to me, this doesn't
Yeah.
sound like a structural remedy. This is just a whole new contract. Like, so
Essentially.
I mean, we'll see how that goes. I guess. I mean, it's an interesting idea though. To, at least try and divide up Activision Blizzard again to a certain extent, just to come up with a new deal that could work, kind of thing. So yeah, it just gets more and more interesting for me. But yeah, it's also just every single week it just strays further and further away from seeming like a done deal.
Yeah, we'll see how it ends up. I think
Let's see.
hopefully we should hear something. What was it, towards the end of June or July? So all of this is basically like marketing tactics. It seems like for the in the
Yeah,
meantime.
does seem that way. Huh? Um, all right, got another article from IGN. Grab this one, George Yang. This is about Dota 2 in particular. So this is a pretty funny one too. Valve tricked 40,000 Dota 2 cheaters into exposing themselves and then banned them. We got a lot of
Let's
bans going out
go.
this week. We got a lot of cracking down. Especially with this. Valve has permanently banned over 40,000 accounts of Dota 2 using third-party software to cheat over the past few weeks. These players use software to look at internal data in the Dota client that isn't ordinarily visible during gameplay. Valve's priority was to fix the issues that allowed for cheating in the first place. However, Valve also took an extra step to get rid of these players. With that goal in mind, we released a patch as soon as we understood the method these cheats were using. Valve said in a statement. They also said this patch created a honeypot, a section of data inside the game client that would never be read during normal gameplay, but that could be read by these exploits. Each of these accounts banned today read from the secret area in the client, giving us extremely high confidence that every ban was well deserved.
40,000 though. Holy
Boy, dude,
crap, man.
you got so many people digging in this client and getting their hands where they shouldn't be. Uh, it was kind of like I feel like you kind of mentioned something earlier that was similar to this kind of thing. Like you just say like developers were writing, they were going out of their way to write these extra pieces of code in parts of the game where for a fact players shouldn't be, just to try and like
Oh
keep
yeah.
people from playing. There it
Well,
is.
Fallout was like that too. Remember? There
Yeah,
were the Fallout hacks that came out, the mods, they got into the developer rooms
yeah,
that they
which
like placed in the
yeah,
game. It's like the moment you get in there and you get a couple items that don't exist outside of there, oh, they banned you immediately. They
yeah,
started banning accounts because there was trading in that game too, right?
I think so. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so they banned the accounts that had it in their like arsenal, their toolbox kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, I mean that was the Fallout 76. People also got into dev
Yes.
rooms, which is funny.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fallout
I think
76 was the big one.
I think and it was funny. I think I listened to a little bit of a podcast with Todd Howard, and he had mentioned that because they were talking about like those games. He was like, and like he said, they thought it was funny when people started like finding the actual dev rooms or like everything where they were like testing out stuff. It's like, yeah, we just leave it in the game, and we thought it was hilarious when people started finding that. So um yeah, it's pretty interesting, but it's also pretty funny. Um yeah, I mean that's certainly an example of not being where you're supposed to be. But dude, I mean, dude, GG's to Valve, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah, this is pretty
Just sniping
40,000, dude?
40,000 accounts, man. Oh
40,000?
man.
That's so many people that just got yeah, like you just said, sniped. They got sniped out. Done.
Yeah.
Um
Oh, it's completely free. Have you actually played Dota 2 before, Mike?
no, I haven't. I've watched plenty of it
I
though.
haven't either. Yeah, I've watched, but
Yeah. Dota 2, along with like League of Legends, StarCraft, it tends to have like, from my perspective, it has a pretty high skill gap
yeah,
and learning curve. So it deters me a little bit.
yeah. You have to put a lot of time in, I think, to even
Exactly.
try and get good kind of thing. So
Exactly.
yeah, dude. I agree with you there, but see, dude, this is what this is what I love to see more of in games. You know what I'm saying? Like not only with cheats, but just
People
people
getting
digging around. I mean, like the thing is, data mining is a huge thing, but I think that's different from what this is. So, if you're trying to data mine to find what's going to be the next patch, I think that's perfect to a certain extent. It's perfectly reasonable. But yeah, I mean, it
yeah,
also depends on
people
what they.
that's like
Yeah,
human curiosity.
yeah,
Like cheats and hacks and something like Dota 2, it's like you're stealing from people. Like whether it's
yeah.
time, energy, money, like it's not fun, man.
It's a free to play game.
That's
Like,
yeah, but
what's going
still,
on? I mean,
it's like yeah. It's
And then,
just bizarre.
I mean, still in a free to play game, like I just think it's I don't know, like I said, we've talked about cheating's dumb regardless. Don't cheat, kids. Listen, don't cheat. But yeah, it's but now it's like people I'm sure will be more weary to a certain extent of like, okay, well, if they're doing stuff like this, how many their devs and other companies would follow suit to be like, all right, now that we have a stable foundation of this game, like what are some precautions we can take in order to prevent like cheating and stuff like that? Because I think I think unfortunately there's a lot of games that probably have a lot on their plate right now, so it's hard for them to try and focus on anti-cheat of any kind. And I
Yeah.
know when you think anti-cheat, like I think most people when they think anti-cheat, is just kind of like running, before the game launches, checking things, checking files and whatnot. But also, I mean, like in game to a certain extent, some have anti-cheat, some don't. But yeah, I mean, just something as minor as this, creating I love the honeypot analogy, but yeah, creating that and then just seeing people flood in, I think is pretty interesting. So we'll see. I mean, I'd be curious to see if more established games actually try and go down a route like this, because if done right, it could actually probably really help the ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all fair. Um, I want to see more incidents like this because to me it just always felt as though cheating has just been getting more and more rampant, and I can't take it, man. It tilts me to like no end when I see
uh,
it happening. It makes me never want to play that particular game.
yeah, I feel
Like
that.
even if I'm playing it like right now, like when I start getting cheated, immediately I'm just like, what am I doing? Like I can go play single player games. I don't have to play online.
Exactly, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of people probably think the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why cheating overall is just it's. I mean, it's just I don't know. I don't get it. Especially in a
Yeah.
multiplayer game, it's like come on, just play the
Yeah.
game and get better. There's something rewarding in playing a game and getting better and increasing your reaction time and just like perfecting your movement. Like there's a lot. There's a lot of dopamine to be
Going
had there
wrong.
that you're just trying to bypass. And it doesn't do it for you, dude. You're gonna cheat and then like a day later be like, all right, well, this is boring. Like there's just nothing there. I think.
Yeah, I mean that's the facts. Like it's really wild to see when you see people that I would say with like above a 90% certainty that they are cheating and they're streaming, they're creating content. And when you watch it, you're just like, dude, like, nope, that's not possible. Like at the
Yeah.
highest level, that's not possible. And you're making it happen on a consistent basis. And yet I've never seen you go to the competitions. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, it's true.
It's like, and then when you do go, here's the crazy thing. When you do go and you get bopped and then you get
Mm,
dropped by your team, and then I never see you again,
then you
which
know.
I can name 5 right off the top of my head in Halo for that. And it's just like, dude, you're obviously cheating. I thought it before and you confirmed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's tough just to see that in like something as stupid as Halo when you know it's worse in other games. With bigger
Yeah.
populations comes this problem, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, always. You get more population, you get more cheaters.
Mhm.
It's just the way of the road, man. But dude, come
People
on,
are gonna be people, man.
just, stop cheating, man. I don't know what else to say, dude. Man, just quit, dude.
If you
You,
cheat, do cool cheats, man.
right?
Do
Do
cool
something.
cheats.
Do it in like a single player game. Cause that's still
Bro,
fun. You know what I'm saying? Single player
like
shooter,
break the
just
game to make it more fun. Like cheat to make the game more
exactly,
fun.
bro.
Don't cheat to ruin somebody else's experience.
Bring back like the
You're just a
GTA
jerk.
style cheats. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Just go to
man.
that giant cheat menu and
Yes.
just have fun.
Yeah. I want to have a main character that's like the Hulk jumping around destroying buildings.
Same,
And
bro.
something as simple as like, I don't know, man. Like name something that would be ridiculous. The Sims 2. How about that? Mod
Yeah,
that for me.
dude. I saw a clip the other day. I sent it to the boys. I sent it to you and Nick. It was Shrek and Hogwarts. I mean, dude, that's funny. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
it's
Like that's
hilarious.
hilarious, dude. I saw a
Yeah.
mod. Someone added a Glock in Hogwarts. You can have a
Yes.
gun in Hogwarts.
Dude.
It's so
Dude,
funny.
I saw that too. Oh, Actman tweeted that out, and he's
Yeah,
like, it's this character that looks
yeah.
similar to Harry Potter, and he's holding a Glock, and he goes, "There ain't no chain." He goes, "There are no secrets in this chamber."
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's just,
dude,
dude, it's so good. Oh man, I
That's a
saw
good
so
one,
many.
yeah.
There's a lot of clever captions I saw for it too, dude. That stuff's
That's what
funny.
it's about.
It's
Yeah,
funny.
add value content, don't take away from somebody else's experience. That's like that should be the golden rule of modding and cheats.
There you go.
That's all it needs to be, man.
You
But
heard it here
whatever.
from Mike. Stamp it. 2023. You know what I'm saying? Crazy.
Oh lord.
Stamp. Oh, we have some more cheating
Yes, we do.
crackdown to talk about, huh? It's been a week of just like, oh, we cracking down out here. Want to see
Bro,
it.
I this one I'm most excited for, okay? Because this is a rampant issue in first person shooters that are on console.
Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody's listening and you're on console and you don't cheat, you should be excited about this. If you do cheat, first of all, never play the game again. Second of all, you should be scared, okay? Because this is what it's going into. This is from Engadget, and it is written by Andrew Tarantola? I think that's his name, Tarantola. At Terrortola. That is a good Twitter name. Terrortola? Dude, that is solid.
Terratola. It's
Props to
nice.
him, man. Okay, so the title of the article is Ubisoft's Mousetrap system lengthens the lag to punish Rainbow Six Siege cheaters. So it spoofs your input with the likes of Zim and watch those ping times skyrocket. So, for those that don't know, let's get into the article. So cheaters are why we can't have nice things.
True.
Him and I, him
True.
and I would get along. All the time, money and effort that could be going towards expanded DLCs and improved gameplay mechanics is instead spent staving off the legions of mediocre players who mistake aimbots for actual gaming prowess.
True.
The entire exercise is exhausting, and Ubisoft isn't going to take it anymore. The company announced Monday. Now, this come the game's next update release, any Rainbow Six Siege player found cheating through the use of input spoofing, that is, using a third-party device to run a keyboard and mouse on their console instead of a controller, will see their lag times drastically extended. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I'm gonna go off the cup of like what he's talking about, okay? There are devices, there are two of them. There's really two main ones. And the first one is a Zim, XIM, and the other one is a Cronus Zen. The way these things work, they were intended for good things initially. What it was is you would use a Cronus Zen, let's say you had a PlayStation 5 or you had an Xbox Series X, or even, well, PC it doesn't really count, but for those two, what you would do is you would grab like, let's say you had an Xbox controller that you absolutely loved and you couldn't adapt to the PlayStation controller. The joysticks are configured differently, so it makes sense that that works. So you plug your Xbox into a Cronus or a Zim, and it spoofs your inputs to make it so you can plug into a PlayStation. So you could use an Xbox controller with a PlayStation, and vice versa. You can do the same thing with like other consoles in general. That is the perfect use for those devices. However, these devices are hardware programmable devices that plug into a USB port. So what people found out is you can write scripts to it. So I know he only mentioned, um, let's refer to him by his name. Andrew only mentioned that you can basically use a mouse and keyboard. You can get aim assist doing this. Mouse and keyboard plugging into Zim and a Cronus and treating it like a controller. So imagine your mouse with aim assist. That's insane
Nuts.
already. Absolutely nuts. So with that, it's like, okay, that could be an issue, but imagine this. You spoof your inputs already, and then you use a Cronus or a Zim, you install your scripts, and the scripts being if the reticle gets close to a player, it automatically goes to their head, insta headshot when you pull the
Mm,
trigger. And there's no recoil.
mm.
Imagine that in any game. Like imagine doing that in CS:GO.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's here's the crazy part about it. It's virtually untraceable because when you plug it into your motherboard or your like for your PC or any of your consoles, there's no anti-cheat to basically see like the code being rendered. It just shows it treats it as if it's a controller input. That's why there's so many people cheating on so many games right now on console. You don't know. It's because these people are using third party hardware devices that plug in, and
Mhm.
it's like
Right under
the
our
fact that.
noses, dude.
But here's the crazy thing, man.
Oh,
Ubisoft, of all companies that's doing the layoffs, that looks like they're going under. Remember that
oh
2,
yeah.
3 episodes?
Yep.
They're finally turning it around, and they're basically saying, "You know what? We found a way to make sure that these people can't spoof anymore, and we're basically gonna ping spike them every time they play our game."
Dude.
Dude,
This is
let's
just
go.
funny. I love
This is
this.
called trolling.
Dude,
This is what I was talking about,
this
man.
is positive trolling. This is amazing.
Yes.
Oh man.
Send their ping to the moon. Make them
Oh my
teleport or
gosh,
running
man.
into a wall, like, make it so their bullets don't even register anymore, and anybody can kill them easily.
That's literally what this is. Oh man. Dude, see, yeah. I because I think I'd heard you mention about like Chronozen and Zim and all that. Like I've heard you
Oh,
talk about
yeah.
it so many times, but I didn't
I hate
understand.
it.
I didn't understand because like originally I was just like, okay, well they're just like input spoofers. Like all you're doing is just like using a different input. But then when you talk
Yeah.
about you can actually like script virtually on the device and then like
Oh, yeah.
make it so you have hardware cheats. It's like that's
Oh, yeah.
insane and it's not detectable. It's
Yeah.
wild.
It it's insane. So, here, let's get into what let's see if he actually mentions it. Let's give him credit. So he goes, "These devices, the Zim Apex, Cronus Zen, and Ray Snow S1," which I didn't even know about. It allows players to leverage the heightened sensitivity and increased reactions that a keyboard and mouse offer over console controllers. These also incorporate aim assist, auto reload, and auto scope features, which have long and rightfully been scorned by a larger gaming community and banned from anything even loosely resembling official competition. But that hasn't stopped folks from increasing relying on such devices to artificially boost their scores in online shooters from Destiny 2 to Overwatch. It's happening in COD all the time,
Yeah.
all the time. And there are other programs that people use. I don't want to mention them on the podcast because you never know who might watch it and get ideas. But it's like there are other very, very popular programs that people use, that there may be like 2 or 3 tabs within that program. If they know how to write code, they can basically script and get auto aim, auto lock, no recoil. It's crazy, man. And nobody's safe except for apparently on Ubisoft games where they can find out.
That's
Gives
crazy.
you
Yeah.
hope, dude. It
Yeah.
gives you hope.
Yeah, it does. It's in the article too. Like Mousetrap is already live. It actually has been for
Yes.
a few seasons, but they've been perfecting it. And so now it's at a point
Oh
where
my
like they're super confident about it, about like
gosh,
hardware
dude.
detection.
They're gonna
So,
flip a switch, man.
dude, yeah, it's I mean just the fact that it can detect hardware, this is revolutionary, dude. Give it to everyone. Give it to all the games. You know what I'm saying? Dude,
Please,
I
please.
just
This needs to be
dude,
shared.
I just think it's so like that's just it's the ultimate troll and stuff like this that works, you know? Just make the game unplayable. You know, you're gonna use that. If you're gonna use that, well, guess what? If you use it, you literally can't play the game. Have fun. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Dude,
so good.
so to go off of what you just read, let's do the quote from, I can't even pronounce his name, but it's basically the Jan, the programming team lead for Rainbow Six Siege. They said, "We know exactly which players are spoofing and when they were spoofing. We also know that at the highest rank, spoofers become much more common." That
Oh,
last sentence to me says at the highest ranks. Why would you say the highest ranks? Does that mean the pro? Like the highest
don't
of the
say it.
high?
Don't say it.
Oh
Oh
man, I
god.
please start banning pro
Oh,
players.
dude.
Please, dude. Do it live during a major. It's gonna
Dude,
be amazing.
that would be. Dude, I feel like companies should do that. Just during like an event, they should have like
Dude,
monitoring systems, and then just be
bro,
like,
that
"Bam!" And then everyone in the audience is like, "What happened? What's going on?" And then like a police officer comes out, handcuffs the player, walks him off.
yeah, they should. That's the thing. That's the thing about cheating in like tournaments like this, man. You're literally stealing.
Yeah,
Like
literally.
people don't realize that. You're stealing.
Yeah, you
This is
are.
no different than PEDs in like multi-million dollar competitions. You were
It's
straight
true.
up stealing.
It's true, dude.
And there's no other way for me to get around that or to look past that. Uh,
Yeah.
I do think like young people play games, young people are stupid, they make mistakes.
Right.
You could be forgiven. But I will say, being banned has happened in Counter-Strike games during tournaments, getting back banned. I've seen it
Dude,
happen.
there's people, dude, I will never forget Word.exe in my life.
Neither would I,
Ever.
man.
Like, I would never forget
Ever.
that. That
It's
was so
still a meme.
iconic. Bro, they literally went up there. They were like, he was checking his PC, and then they said there was a program called Word.exe, and then it was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. He's like, nah, get him out of here. And then like, just live on
But
stage, they just kicked him off. It was
oh, yeah,
amazing.
they opened it up and immediately was just like, "This is a script," and then was like, grabbed him and kicked
Yeah.
him
It's
off,
like, all
and
right, you're
his
out. You're
team,
done. You're
his
disqualified.
poor team, dude, they all looked puzzled, right? Because
Yeah.
they're like, "What? He's, like, our best player."
No.
It's like, "Well, I think we found
Little
out
did they
why,
know.
dude."
Behind his own brother's backs, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, dude.
Wild.
If you're cheating in video games, you probably have you have loose ethics, morals, maybe.
You do. You do. I'll say it. I'll back you on that.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
You do.
But
You know what else is crazy though, Mike?
what is it?
Wild, some may say. We got Microsoft trying to do a little sneakerooski maybe to try and see if
Yes,
the
sir.
CU deal worked out. They announced a couple of big things this week. A couple of deals. I'm gonna start off. We'll start off with the Nintendo one. So Microsoft, they signed a binding Call of Duty deal with Nintendo ahead of the EU Activision hearing. A 10-year legal agreement to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo players was announced as Microsoft prepares to make its case to EU regulators. This is amazing. Ready for this? Call of Duty will be available to Nintendo players on the same day as Xbox with full feature and content parity under a 10-year agreement between the two platforms. Microsoft's Brad Smith announced. The deal was announced in early December, but Smith is offering more details today ahead of a hearing in which Microsoft will argue its case with EU regulators to allow its $69 billion acquisition of Call of Duty publisher Activision Blizzard to proceed. So Tom Warren wrote back in December about this. A Nintendo deal is almost certainly a part of Microsoft's attempt to pressure Sony into accepting a similar offer. And ally regulatory competition concerns. The PlayStation maker has emerged as one of the chief opponents of Microsoft's proposed acquisition, saying it's a risk reduce competition by locking key features like Call of Duty to Xbox consoles and Microsoft services like Game Pass. Well, they went right back around. They said, been talking with Nintendo. They're down with it. We're going to put Call of Duty on Nintendo. What's your problem, Sony? All right, we're giving you a similar deal. Willing to offer this to you as a little full feature content parity. 10 years. I mean, 10 years, that's a decade. We're talking 2033, Mike. You know what I'm saying? 2034, maybe, by the time the deal comes out. Get COD for a while. Who knows? COD very well may not be the same franchise we all know and love as it is today in 10 years. It's survived, 15 plus now? So, I mean, who knows? Maybe. Yeah. But, I mean, it was looking a little bleak, and then Warzone came out. Put it back on the map, I'd say. That's why I would argue that. But yeah, dude. I mean, great. I mean, first of all, I think great for consumers, especially if you're on the Switch. I don't necessarily know how many Switch users would be trying to play Call of Duty on their device.
Yeah.
That is one thing I will say, kind of one like question mark there, but yeah, I mean this is I mean, but as they're suggesting in the article and as they're theorizing, I mean this is Xbox trying to I think majority of the motivation here is to try and see if they can convince Sony to back down a little bit on these on their claims.
Like I would say 100% that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Whatever they can get, basically Jim Ryan, Sony, to like just back down a little bit.
Yeah.
And accept the fact that it's like Microsoft is going to do whatever they possibly can to buy Activision Blizzard, put it on the Game Pass, and they're just like, "Oh, Call of Duty is the issue? Okay, fine. You guys want Call of Duty for 10 years? Here you go."
Yeah,
and they're
right.
just trying to win the long game. They don't care.
Think this is an issue, dude? All right, you got COD for a decade, buddy. It's all right.
Yeah,
we all share.
Guaranteed in writing.
In writing.
They want it like in perpetuity, though. I guess I don't even know.
Want something, dude. They don't want that deal to happen because then they're going to lose Activision and Blizzard and King and any other potential thing within that. So I get it, it's a huge deal, but yeah, this is part of that of them trying to get that. Um, we can even move on. I'll move on. I mean, I could even read off this next article real quick. 'Cause it's kind of in the same
Yeah,
vein. Um,
go for it.
Microsoft is going to bring Xbox PC games to Nvidia GeForce Now, which I think this is arguably probably even bigger than the Nintendo deal, because
Yeah.
this is like the library. Um, Microsoft says it will bring its Xbox PC games to Nvidia's GeForce Now cloud streaming service. If its Activision deal is approved, it will also bring Activision Blizzard games to Nvidia's service. This is again coming from the Verge. Microsoft is bringing the Xbox PC games to Nvidia's GeForce Now cloud streaming service. Speaking at a press conference in Brussels today, Microsoft President Brad Smith announced the news as it seeks to convince EU regulators to approve its proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition. Quote, Microsoft will be bringing its Xbox games that play on PCs to Nvidia's GeForce Now cloud streaming service. We will also bring all of Activision Blizzard's titles, including Call of Duty, to GeForce Now. And funny enough, you still have to buy games individually before you can play them on GeForce Now. The deal is simply a 10-year agreement for the streaming rights. Seeing a lot of tens here.
Yeah.
Microsoft is committing to make its games available to stream regardless of whether you purchase them in the Windows Store, Steam, Epic Games Store. According to the press release, there's no mention of Microsoft's own rival Xbox Cloud Gaming Service or the larger Xbox Game Pass, which can include access to Xbox PC games. And NVIDIA VP Phil Eisler told us he couldn't discuss Game Pass specifically. So they really wasn't much they could say on that. He says that the agreement includes commitments to make Microsoft-owned games available on GeForce Now day and date, or as close to day and date as we can with their release on PC, including Minecraft, and will include Battle.net titles like Overwatch. Should the Activision Blizzard deal go through, games should start arriving on GeForce Now in a matter of weeks, though it could take a year to complete. There was a whole, there's more detail, maybe in the interview with Phil, about this kind of stuff. But yeah, this is yet another move from Microsoft. And again, I read somewhere and I agree with this. This is, both these deals overall, overall, I think this is really good for gamers in general. I mean, it's always
Yeah.
good to have stuff elsewhere, and it just shows that Xbox, like you always iterate to our audience, they just don't care, man. They want games everywhere, and they want people to be happy.
Yeah, it's all about selling the Game Pass. This is very pro-consumer, what I think Microsoft is trying to do. I can understand why the competitors are nervous because
Yeah,
Microsoft it seems to be like they're the only innovators right now in terms of software and like what they plan on doing with handling IPs and games in general, right? Whereas PlayStation seems to be about the same. They've always been just like, here's a console, here's controllers. We're gonna perfect this and play the games you want to play, but only do it on our device.
yeah,
And Nintendo's been always like, okay, let's do the handheld stuff. Okay, let's do a console. Let's do like the Wii modes, the nunchucks, and like they're always trying to make adjustments.
yeah,
So I think it's pretty interesting that not only is Microsoft bringing games to Nintendo now, specifically Call of Duty, which is nuts, and now Microsoft Xbox is basically like, okay, let's go put it on Nvidia's GeForce Now to make it streaming. Like, you guys
yeah,
want to stream the games too? We don't care. Let's just go for it. You're fine.
yeah,
Which is which is wild, man.
yeah.
I
It's
I don't
crazy.
know how it's
I,
gonna pan out.
yeah, I don't either. I mean, it's crazy too because they have cloud streaming. I mean, Xbox is obviously in that market, but they're just
Oh yeah.
like, here you go, GeForce Now. Here's a streaming service that I mean, this will only help GeForce Now too in trying to stay afloat. And not that I'm saying there's any
Yeah.
issues with GeForce Now, but I mean, I've heard actually good things, especially in like even competitive games run pretty well, like on GeForce Now. I think one of my buddies played Smite on GeForce Now, like for like a few days, but he said the experience was overall like really smooth, and he could actually like enjoy the game on on hardware that normally wouldn't run the game. So, I heard
I
good
didn't know
things
that.
there, but yeah, I mean, it seems to be like a good service, and this is just gonna add more and more value to that sucker right there.
You know what's one more point to add that's kind of, I think, kind of crazy is the fact that Microsoft's willing to let a lot of their Xbox games go to streaming for Nvidia GeForce now, when none of the Xbox consoles have Nvidia like GPUs in it. Not entirely true. There are Nvidia GPUs in the original Xbox, but
Yeah.
I don't think they're in any of the Xbox Series S and X, right? Those are all AMD, right? I'm
Um,
pretty sure
I
that's.
think.
I feel like I'm
Yeah.
confident in saying that that might be the case. So it doesn't like I think Microsoft's trying to do whatever they possibly can to make this acquisition go through.
Yeah.
It is specifically in the EU first, because that's the one that's going to be decided first. And the FCC or FTC, Federal Trade Commission, yeah, FTC is
Yeah.
trying to get into the deal and decide before the EU does. So right now it feels like it's a race. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Microsoft's doing whatever they possibly can. They're just like, I think we're gonna fare better chances with the UK and the EU, so let's go push through there first, and
Yeah.
then come back and be like, listen, these other regions, they approved it. What's your problem, FTC?
Yeah, for sure. It's all leverage, huh? At the end of the day.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's basically what's going on,
Yeah. There are 10-year deals too, which is kind of crazy. It's pretty heavy
dude.
leverage.
A whole decade, like
Yeah,
that's wild, man.
it's wild. But hey, man, seems like it's going to be either way. Whether or not this acquisition goes through, these will stay too, which is even crazier. So they're putting their chips in, to say the least. Um, yeah. Overall excited. I mean, we'll know more, of course, about the deal and everything in the coming weeks and months. But,
Yeah,
right there. It's all looking dicey.
yeah. I think this week we were talking about it beforehand. I felt like this week was kind of slow, don't you?
A little bit, yeah.
It was like there wasn't so much stuff going on, I think, but the stuff that is going on, like, I think this is a good day for cheaters to be wary. You know, it's
I would
like
agree.
Bungie basically destroying the people that are making cheats, which is awesome. And then you got a whole Valve is banning 40,000 Dota players, which is pretty crazy. And following it
Yeah.
with Ubisoft is basically like, yeah, we know you guys are spoofing. Which is, to me, I think is bigger than what people think it is. I
I
don't
would say
see
that
very
too.
many people talking about it. It's like there how many people are playing Call of Duty? Like millions, I would think.
It
There's a
has
lot
to
of
be, right?
people, man. There's a lot of people in that community that are using a Cronus or using a Zim.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I dude, if Microsoft gets Activision Blizzard, bro, and then they work with Ubisoft, they already have a deal with Ubisoft, and all of a sudden you just see it across the board hit like 70% of all gaming to get rid of that type of cheat. It would be night and day difference of gaming. We'll
Yeah.
basically like rewind the clock on cheaters. It'll be so cool.
So, yeah, certainly a step in the right direction. That's for sure. That is. There's no denying that. But yeah, yeah. I mean, dude. Yeah. At least from this week, it seems like yeah, like you're saying, cheaters beware, man, and just like I don't know. This should motivate you to just not cheat, bro. If that's what you're doing, like, come on. But yeah, I mean, but devs especially as their games are more and more established and they have a stable, foundation, you're going to be
Yeah.
looking into stuff like this because this is ultimately what's keeping people off their games besides a broken game. So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
looking up, Mike, dude. It's looking up.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man. The uh the other thing, I guess we'll just do like a personal update of what we're doing for this weekend. We got the Halo Championship Series going on in Charlotte. It's gonna be you and me there. Gonna have a
Yeah.
great time. We got the Crazy Miller's gonna be there as well.
Yes, sir.
He's been a podcast guest. Is he on 3 now?
Yeah, 3, I think.
I
Yeah,
think he's on 2 because I did twice with him, right?
yeah,
And then also like with you involved too, right? I think
yeah,
so. That was
yeah.
last season. Might get another one. We'll have to see how it all pans out, but I think it's gonna be overall a good weekend. Are you gonna do any type of vlogging? I know I mentioned that to you in
Yeah,
the
I
VOD.
don't know. I don't know. See, my thing about vlogging is I just like, especially these events like this, I just love being
Mhm.
in the moment, and I get pulled out so quickly when I'm trying to like worry about filming and stuff. That's just my thing.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
a good point.
and I'm just not like, and I don't vlog like hardly ever, so it's like I'm not in that mode. And like I feel like it's hard for me to get in that mode and get in a groove of that. So it'd just be like real like awkward. I feel like, but
Yeah,
that's just
then
me.
don't worry about it.
Uh,
That's actually a good point. I think we covered it a couple of like last season, early last season about mental health when it comes to streamers.
Yeah,
Remember that segment? We had one where they were talking about vloggers and there were like vlogger testimonies of that very issue that they had. They felt like they always had to have the camera with them in order to enjoy a moment. And
yeah,
when they were enjoying the moment, they were like upping it for the camera
yeah,
and for
exactly,
the overall experience. They're always looking at it from a lens of like, okay, what is content? How can we do
exactly.
this? You know?
That's yeah. I
It's
mean, that's exactly the thing. And there's we're gonna be hanging out with a ton of the people this week we haven't even gotten to meet in person yet, which is
dude,
also
that's a
exciting. So it's
fact.
like I just want to
You
be
don't want to put a
there. You know
camera in
what I
their
mean? Yeah,
face.
like I just want to be there. Let's just chill, dude. Well, that's what my thing. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll be I don't know how much Halo we'll end up watching. Definitely watch some of it,
Yeah.
but yeah. I mean, all around it'll just be a good time in a good city. So I'm excited.
Okay. Well, let's do this because I know we're going to talk about HCS next episode. Who are your top three in
Top three.
order? Who's taking it home?
Oh, dude, that's a really good question. 'Cause there's been the roster mania was nuts going into the season, so it's a really good question. Definitely keep an eye on Space Station. Actually, look, I'm excited for Space Station now. Right, I just say it. I have a Space Station jersey, debating on whether or not I'm gonna wear it. Um, just because the crew we normally hang with, I feel like it's like green wall, but it's like I don't know, man. Space Station they had the old Cloud9 team, which is like the second best team. So it's
Yeah,
like they actually have a chance now. I feel like not to say
they do.
not to say the
Yeah, they
last team was
certainly do.
terrible, but it's they definitely have the best chance they've ever had in the Halo scene. So I'm definitely gonna be watching them. I think certainly they may get top three. I feel like I mean I'd be almost surprised if they didn't, but we'll see. Um and let's see who else. I mean, I'm be keeping an eye on Phase's roster. I mean, it's the old Sentinels roster with Renegade on it now, so that definitely has some potential to pop. Especially if they put in the work before the event, which I'm sure they did. So I'm definitely be keeping an eye on that. I'm really curious how they're gonna do. It'll be cool to see Phase have a better team this time around too. Again, not to like discount anyone's ability previously, but definitely want to see some phase play, some sentinels. I'll be curious if Optic, retains the crown. Certainly a good group of players. So they were the world champs after all. So see. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I think certainly those are pretty good for top three. Um, definitely good to keep an eye on. Like of course the G1s. Status Quo now has now has a pretty solid roster. They got Blaze back on. Was
yeah,
starter for them last year. So and he was I think probably like one of the best players on that team too. So I'm really excited to see how he'll do. And just that team in general. See how the boys do there. But yeah, I mean, there's just there's a bunch of teams too. I mean, there's a ton of teams that aren't even like in pool play too. That'll be interesting to watch in open bracket. So, but yeah, I mean, it's easy. It's easy to go to the main top three, but I mean, certainly I'm gonna keep an eye out on like the on the lower teams and see who actually makes it out of open bracket. Sure. I mean, I don't know
true.
what about you, Mike? Do you have any power rankings you want to give like going into this, or you're gonna keep an eye on?
My I think Phase, the team of Renegade, Frosty, Royal Two, and Snakebite, they're gonna win. I think second place is gonna be Optic, which is like the Optic team that we've known this whole time. Trippy, Formal, APG, and Lucid. I think they're definitely a top two squad. And then my third is what I've been saying for a while now. It's Gamers First. I think Gamers First is going to be the unpartnered team to crack the top three. That's Boo Boo, Falcated, Sabinator, and Suspector. I think
Mm.
that team chemistry, the way they do their org, like the way they now have Hoaxer as a coach, who is now
That's yo,
who previously,
dude. I forgot about that.
yeah, Hoaxer's
Shoot.
their main coach, and then their basically assistant coach or statistician is Eli.
Yeah.
And those two guys alone have, geez, they're probably close to 30 years of esports
Yeah.
experience together.
Wealth of knowledge. Let's
Yeah,
say.
so Yeah, you have basically like the old Halo knowledge, and then you also have Zoomer new Halo knowledge. And
Yeah.
Hookster's been around for a long time. He was an ex-pro as well. So it's like there's a reality of the of wealth of experience there, and the way I just see that team being a top 3 team. I told you that from the get-go. When they announced the roster, I was like, they're a top 3 roster. And then
Yeah.
poof, open bracket or like, the open qualifier, top 3. Then the
Yeah.
major
It's true.
qualifier, top 3, and I'm like, it's only gonna get better on land, man. They're
Yeah, it's a
nasty,
good point,
and they
dude.
have chemistry.
It's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna be keeping an eye on them. I mean, yeah, I could see them definitely getting top 3. I mean, they've proved it online. You know, we'll see
Yeah,
on
oh yeah.
LAN. Yeah, the LAN should be better. I mean, I hope the game performance is good in general, especially on LAN. We'll see. That's the biggest question mark I think going into these tournaments is how is this game going to perform? How many crashes are we going to have to deal with and
A
whatnot?
lot.
So, um,
Spoiler.
yeah, I mean, I expect probably a decent amount. So we'll see. I mean, yeah, we'll just see how the game as a whole pans out. But and then it's kind of whoever. Hopefully, it doesn't get to a point where it's like whoever can overcome the like all the crap can will be the one that succeeds. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see how it all pans out. I mean, yeah, still excited nonetheless. Definitely be keeping an eye on open bracket, seeing who's playing. Man, it's always cool just walking around, and seeing all the stations and stuff. That's like the best part. I think it's Friday, so I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But I think, we'll go ahead and let the people go. Let them, enjoy their weekend, and we'll get back to them next week. Hopefully get some more cracking news.
Yeah, I'm saying, you know, hopefully we'll see some more cheats get crapped on, dude.
Oh, please, that'd be amazing. 3,000 on Dota 2 is crazy. Okay, I can't
Dude,
get over it.
it's
Um,
nuts.
anyways, we'll let it go. Thank you all for tuning in. This is what we're at episode 7 of the year.
So
So definitely appreciate you guys coming through, checking us out. And anything you want to see, all the links are in the description. Everything that we've quoted, everything we've read off, you'll see it in whatever platform you're listening to us. If you're on YouTube, super easy to see it there. But if you're on like any other streaming platform, it's also there. So make sure to check it out. See what we're up to. We also have Twitter, Discord, anything you could possibly think of. Come check it out. We appreciate you. And without further ado, I'm Michael Anthony and my co-host Kyle Heath, and we're gonna let you go.
yep. Thanks for listening,
Thank you
everyone.
very much. See you
Peace.
later. Peace out.
Bye.